Greetings and welcome back to the Leadership Lounge. I'm so excited to have you here. This is the show that I shine the spotlight on leaders who are doing it right, leaders who understand there are more than one ways to skin a cat. So without further ado, let me start my intro. What do you get when you combine a former PwC, Salesforce, and Blue Shield executive with 30 plus years in high stakes leadership, a somatic practitioner trained in Aikido, Tai Chi, Qigong, and Feldenkrais, and conscious movement, the creator of Resilient Reset, used globally and still practiced 94% with leaders months later, and a strategist who turns skeptics into believers in minutes? You get Kimberly Arnold. Kimberly teaches leaders how to regulate their nervous systems so they can think clearly, collaborate effectively, and lead powerfully when the pressure is highest. She blends neuroscience, physiology, and real-world executive experience into practical tools you can use in real time. Welcome to the show, Kimberly.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. I am very excited for today's conversation and excited to see friends in the audience.
Yes, it's going to be super fun. Please say hello. We'll be shouting you out throughout the show. So you know how this show goes. And we have to really set everybody's thoughts with, give us some of your background, share a little bit of your story so people know who they're talking to. They heard the bio, but give us a little more meat on that bone.
Yeah, thank you so much. What I'm going to do is just pick a few highlights that really shaped what I do today. And the first is to say that even though you may look at me and you wouldn't know this now, I grew up with really noticeable crossed eyes. And so when I went to school, I was called Cross-Eyed Kim. And I learned to stick out my chest, disconnect from my core, and put on a fake smile and try to pretend that I was okay.
That's hard.
And I share that because we all have had something that got us into our nervous system conditioning really early in life. So that was the foundation for me on that one. And then I will say unlikely for someone doing my work. I went to Northwestern. I got a degree in industrial engineering. I went on to Chicago and got an MBA. So I had a very analytical background. And my focus was in consulting. I started at Pricewaterhouse. I'll even date myself. It was Pricewaterhouse then. It became PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers. And a few key things happened for me when I was there. First off, it was my first job. And after my first year, my mother passed away from leukemia.
Sorry.
And my dad had left when I was 5.5. So when mom passed away, it was like, whoa, okay, I'm here on my own. And I really dove into my work as, I will say, kind of my salvation, right? It was the place that I had incredible mentorship and support. And we were working on a huge project. I'll super date myself. It was when Intel was launching the Pentium 3 chip. And we were in a team, I was co-leading a team of 200 people to add a service as a part of that launch. And that was back in the day when Andy Grove used to run parallel teams when he was doing big projects. And so in that parallel team, he decided to pivot from our technology to their technology about 2 months before the go live. So that meant that I went up to Hillsborough for 4 days and I came back 28 days later. And that project is the one that had them say, okay, we're going to promote you to partner. They had already paid for me to go to business school. I was a rising star. I had the golden ticket. But I said, you know what? If that's what it takes, this is not going to be the place for me to stay. So I was a rising star and I left. And I went into, as you mentioned before, I was at Blue Shield of California. There I was driving large scale change because my commitment with what I went through with my mother was to make a difference in healthcare. And the big project there was to automate from when an employer made a quote to when you as the employee got your card and everything working. We automated that on the Salesforce platform. And I literally ended up going across the street to Salesforce to be the global health insurance go-to-market leader.
Nice.
And that one was the one that fueled today's work.
Mhm.
Because when I was there, I had my perfect storm moment like any of us. I had good leaders and challenging leaders. It happened to be a season of a challenging leader. I was grieving the death of my uncle who had passed away locally. I was caregiving my father and his partner in another state. I was going through menopause, and we had torrential rain, and I had a leak in the roof of my house.
That's a perfect storm.
That's a perfect storm. Took me out for a 15-week medical leave, stress-induced leave. And I got to really reflect during that time that, I mean, my friends knew every vacation I took for, over a decade was out studying these body-based practices. I had been trained to lead many of them.
Mhm.
But what I got was that when you're in an environment that's constantly reactive, it's hard to be the calm one swimming up the reactive stream.
This is why I wanted to have this conversation, because I came from the world of sales, which is fast-paced, heavy pressure, quotas. You're answering to a lot of bosses. I never just had one boss ever. I'm
Right.
sure you know this because we're both from the same big tech. And there was a real lack of self-awareness and a real lack of take a breath, because there's no time for that kind of vibe.
That's right.
So here's a question for the audience and that you're going to answer, but what the heck is somatic leadership and why should anyone care?
It's a fascinating question because people even stumble sometimes over the word somatic. It comes from the Greek word soma, which is the body, right? And so when I stepped in to create this organization 3 years ago, I knew that we were often only operating from the neck up.
Yeah.
And yet, if you actually look at the neuroscience research, right, people have maybe heard of the vagus nerve. It's a more common conversation, right? It's like the
all over
superhighway.
Instagram.
Right. It's a superhighway from the base of your skull all the way down to your tail. 80 to 90% of the messages from your vagus nerve fibers are coming from your body to your brain. Your physical body is constantly shaping how you show up. And what I got from all those practices that I had done and the studies that I did, what was also true is that under pressure, you don't tend to rise to your expectations. You tend to fall to your habits.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, because I think we've all been there when somebody is giving you some deadline, something that you have to respond to quickly. You may not have all the answers. You may be super stressed on how to get there, and you probably have to rely on other people to do it. So the best leaders know how to take a breath and let people do the jobs they were hired for. But most leaders haven't been taught that. So what's the first thing you would teach a leader about how to handle a stressful situation?
The first thing actually is for them to have their own awareness of how their body responds under stress. So this comes back to that. If we come back to the neuroscience again, the reality, like the order of your brain is that your brain registers body sensation first. So that automatic response that I told you I had as a kid, we all have an automatic response in our body that we've practiced for decades. We're really good at it, right? You're super efficient. Lindsay, if I said to you, what does your body do when you're stressed? What's the first thing you notice?
I probably get tense in my neck and shoulders, and my shoulders kind of rise up to my ears. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's neck and shoulders is probably one of the most common responses that I hear when I ask that question. But the first thing we do is we start with starting to become aware of, because your tension will start to show up here before anything comes out of your mouth.
Oh, sure. Well, and you can see that. I mean, I love human behavior, which is why I do this work anyway, and why I studied sociology in college. And who knew that my sociology would actually pay off all this this decades later. But you can see in a room when you say something and everyone pushes back from the desk.
That's
and they're
right.
doing one of these, or like, I've disengaged, I'm pushing back from the table. Your trust, we've broken the trust. I'm done. So this body language speaks before your mouth ever does. And same goes for stress. So what does chronic stress do to credibility of a leader over time?
I can actually say I have a dear friend who's a business owner who I think is feeling that pain right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll answer it. There's a couple components to this. You spoke to one part, which is we live in a culture that actually rewards push through and pass out.
Hustle culture. Yeah.
Right? We get rewarded for the hustle culture. And the reality is that takes a toll on your own performance, on your relationships with everybody in the workplace, at home, in your communities, and your health. And what I see when I navigate people with the chronic situation is, again, they've had this reactive response so much that then, what ends up happening is you end up giving feedback at a time that is not only not constructive, but it's actually destructive. Frances Fry just talked about this in her office hours last week. Like when you give the feedback and you get the opposite of what you're hoping for, that was a destructive moment, right? And we've all witnessed that, the person who makes the comment and shames somebody in front of the entire room.
Oh, can we just talk about that for a second? Okay, so I'm going to look into the camera when I say this. People, if you still think that leading with intimidation, belittling people, embarrassing people, making people feel small because you're in a powerful position, that shit is tired. Nobody wants it. You're not motivating anyone. So please stop and listen to what we're talking about. It's important. Sorry.
Well, thank you. No, thank you for that commercial. I'm totally on board. And here's the other part that people don't realize. So in the context of, I worked hard. I have another friend who's a founder who is working, 70 hours a week and is also a triathlete. Mm-hmm. And then when I've spoken, to them, they're like, but I don't sleep very well. And I was like, right, because you never actually complete your stress cycle. So when you're pushing hard all day, and we could get into breaking it down, like what actually happens, but when you're pushing hard all day, your body is pushing through the cortisol all the time to keep you going. And then if the way that you work out
right into triathlete training,
that's right. So then if I go straight into my run, cycle, swim training, I'm still pushing the cortisol. Mm-mm. And the way that I describe this to people is, when you want to be skillful under high pressure, you want to learn to pace differently.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so let's put it into some practical use. So what's the fastest somatic reset a leader can use before a big meeting?
So the fastest thing that you can do in a flash is to shift your attention from wherever it is down to your feet.
Oh, okay.
And so if you take a moment right now, whether you're sitting or standing, just really intentionally feel your feet below you.
Okay.
And you could take a moment, like in yoga, they talk about the idea of feel the four corners of your feet,
right?
Under your big toe, your little toe, both sides of your heel. Soften your foot into the ground below you. You might even imagine that you have roots going deep into the ground.
Love. That's good.
Just when we made that shift, what did you notice?
Well, in fairness, I was watching the comments, so I wasn't totally doing it. I did stop for a second and I was doing my feet, but I'm running a bunch of stuff over here. So what are you supposed to feel? Because I don't think I did it justice.
That's okay. Well, just take a moment now and feel your feet.
Okay.
Just take a moment. I know.
I mean, it takes me out of my head,
right.
which is a good thing.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it, right? Like again, so if you only had an instant, I would say find your feet. Like that's it. If you have a minute, if you can give yourself 1 minute, then what I encourage you to do is to take 1 minute of long exhales. And I typically will inhale to a 4 and exhale to a 6. And on my inhale, I imagine I'm getting space in my spine. I'm getting a little taller. And on my exhale, just relaxing, rolling down the front, relaxing your jaw, shoulders, chest, and belly.
So good. So good. We hope that we're going to give you a few more of these guys because I know that you like them and I like them too because this is good stuff that you can do. And I love, Kimberly, that a minute, I think most of us can take a minute. Most of us. And
That's
you can
right.
pack a lot into a minute, but that having some of these quick things at your fingertips. And guys, if you're not connected to Kimberly, I don't know why you're here, or just fix that shit right away. You should, and I'll pop up her LinkedIn in a little bit, but she posts these practices all the time and they're good to practice. And, the arms on the hips and the taking up space and all of these things really do change the way you feel in the moment. So I'm here for that. Okay, here's a hot one. And we've all been there. How should a leader recover after they've reacted poorly in the moment?
Oh, well, there are a number of layers for this one. The first thing I'm going to do is say, take whatever space you need to come back to your own ground and center.
Okay.
The first thing I'm going to say is take whatever space you need to come back to your ground and center. When something goes wrong, I remember early in my career, we've all probably done this at some point. Honestly, like when I started working was like when emails started. But I remember one point sending, doing a reply to all on a message that I shouldn't have replied to all on, right? Like we've all had that moment. And then I immediately was like, oh, now what? I wanted to jump in and figure out how to
scramble. Yeah.
Like how do I minimize the damage that I just caused? And the reality is, if I'm responding from minimize the damage that I just caused, well, here's what's happening. I got a shot of adrenaline. The adrenaline told my body to take the blood from my brain, put it in my large muscles, preparing me to fight, flight, freeze. That's what's happening. That's why people say, my brain's flooded. I go, right, because the blood is actually leaving your brain, doing something else. You tend to only see the problem. You tend to go straight into automatic negative. Now guilt. It's me versus you. It's us versus them. I'm bad. You're good. Right? Like all the automatic absolute thinking shows up because your body is going for safety.
Yeah.
So the number one thing to do is to get yourself into a safe space. Like that's number one. And you're right. I offer practices all the time. I have a YouTube channel. Like there's all kinds of places to find how to do that. But you want to do that first. And then you can really reflect on what happened. How can I take responsibility for what happened? How can I go and acknowledge the impact to another? Apologize in whatever way that is. And maybe make an agreement about how to support each other that doesn't happen again.
Yeah. The first thing that I love to advise people, if let's say they speak out of turn, and I don't mean interrupt, I mean like that you say something pretty shitty to someone. I think it's really important you own it, but I also think taking that breath and grounding yourself and figuring out, okay, what was it that I said? How was this offensive? And how am I going to own it? And when you figure out what those things are, you say, I wasn't my best. I really regret what I said. I don't really feel that way. And I'd like to try to earn your trust back. That humility goes a long way. And it also shows you can bounce back from failure. Now, sometimes your damage is too great. And despite your best efforts, you're not going to get over that hill. And you have to come to terms with accepting that. That's
I really love what you just said of, I'd like to earn your trust back.
Mm-hmm.
And realistically, you're going to earn that back faster if your body is signaling that you're a safe space.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, of course.
100%.
Yeah,
because otherwise, if I'm like, okay, I want to earn your trust back.
Yeah, well, and that I love how you said that, because your body is the safe space. That is not something that I think people recognize easily. And so creating the safe space within yourself is a skill that we need to develop. And for leadership, especially, it's super cool. Okay, here's a topic that we were kind of hitting on it earlier in the show: resilience. So what's the biggest misconceptions executives have about resilience? And I'll answer after you, but I'm so curious to see how you want to take this one.
I'm supposed to push through.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I can push through shows that I'm resilient.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I would have said the same thing. And I think it's one of those, it's almost repellent. It's not demonstrating, I've gotten through hard shit. It's, I did it. Now let's keep going.
Right. Well, and when the reality of that hero mentality, right? How many times was the hero the one that's held up? But if you took, I don't know, you could probably take any sport, but the one that I'm going to think of right now is like the idea of mountain climbing. Mm-hmm. You're going to put the slowest person at the front because you don't want to leave anybody behind.
It's going to be a long hike.
Well, but the reality is, like, if you're really leading a team, right? Yeah. And so it's a similar kind of thing. Like, if everybody's got to come along for the ride, then we got to design it in a way that everybody gets to come along for the ride. Mm-hmm. And, and I think certainly we've both been in those cultures where, the one who pushed the hardest. And I can say that when I was in that culture, I saw more people taking medical leaves than I ever had in my career.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you and I both have heard the countless stories of the people who absolutely cracked, had to take leave for mental well-being, and nobody wants that anymore. It's not sustainable. It's not safe. It's not, and as a leader, you need to recognize when your team is feeling really burnt out. And it might just be one individual, it might be two, but you can see it. You can tell when they're not thinking clearly because they've clearly got so much on their plate. So do them a solid and check in. You have to, as a leader, you're responsible to your people. Okay. So we were talking a little bit about stress response earlier. Mm-hmm. Can you really call yourself self-aware if you don't understand your stress response?
That's a no way, no how for me. And I think for many people, I do this in every program that I do, right? I walk them through sort of a number of different body-based cues to say what happens in your body. And I will say 9 out of 10 people can point to a body-based cue. Mm-hmm. And usually there's at least one who's like, I notice an emotion. And there's 2 ways that I want to respond to that. One is with a lot of compassion. Mm. Some people had really traumatic experiences happen in their body and they've disconnected, and that was appropriate compensation survival, right? So I really want to honor that. And at the same time, when you start to have that awareness, as I said before, now you get to start to get a sense of how your physical body is conditioning your brain in terms of what you say, how you feel, how you respond.
Cool. I love it. Okay. So what are leaders getting right today?
I would say that people really are recognizing that they need to take breaks. I really do hear a lot more people talking about, you know what, I'm going to take a walking meeting outside, Or
Yes.
I'm
I
really
love
going to
yeah.
I was just on a call with a group of leaders yesterday that were talking about like really having intentional times of having their phones even be in another room so that they're breaking the pattern of constantly checking the dopamine notification, is somebody thinking about me moment. So I really will say, I feel like I hear more people recognizing that they need to get out of that always push moment.
Good. I like that. So what are leaders getting wrong right now?
Well, I wouldn't say wrong. I would say they're going in the right direction, but here is an unlock to make it more effective. So what I'll say I think they're getting right is, I know I need to meditate, work out, get sleep, right? And okay, that's at that point.
Knowing
Okay.
and doing are two different things, but yes, go ahead.
Well, right, because this is the unlock.
Yeah.
We think that means I have to go do this thing for 10, 15, 30 minutes, an hour. The reality is, here's how it goes. You have your focused nervous system, your sympathetic, it's your warrior focus, you're going to get things done. You have your parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest moment. If you were even watching a professional tennis player, they put all of their energy into making the stroke. And after that point is done, you watch them taking long breaths, recalibrating the strings on their racket. They're dipping into their parasympathetic nervous system. So the unlock is recognizing that when you make slight shifts, even in seconds throughout your day, you break that ongoing, always pressure cycle. I've had clients change their behavior in high pressure moments by practicing 3 minutes a day.
Yeah, and that's what I love about this. This isn't a huge time commitment. And if you work out in the morning, great, wonderful. But you can still do these practices throughout the day. And if you miss a day of meditation, the world's not going to end. You'll be okay. Pick it up the next day. And I think people get very rigid on their expectations of themselves, and they're very quick to mark themselves a failure if they can't be consistent. Consistency is hard, and you got to try.
Well, and here's what I'll say about that. I love that you said that, right? So if you look in the world of behavior change, the leaders will tell you the best way to adopt a new behavior is to attach it to something that you already do. It's called habit stacking.
Yeah.
So, for example, every morning before I get out of bed, I do 1 minute of that breath. Inhale to a 4, exhale to a 6. Now, the reason why I do that, and what I tell people is, you want to be able to make these little shifts when you're not under pressure. Because then when you are under pressure, your body knows what to do.
Oh, yeah. Good one.
And I got that test last fall because I was suddenly in a car accident.
Right.
And the first thing my body did was start taking long exhales.
It's great.
Because this is why I say you become what you practice. So when you make these slight shifts throughout your day, you build the physical muscle memory that your body will remember what to do, because at that point, your brain will not.
Love that. And I love that in the frenzy and the fear of the car accident, your body reacted. And, I'm one of these very good in a crisis. Like, you want me on your team. If somebody's having a seizure, I'm usually like first on the scene. If somebody is really, been in a car accident, I'm not an EMT, but whatever, the universe puts me there because I can handle it. But I also am like a complete, like, I've removed any sense of fear or strain or stress in my body because I'm just focused on the moment. And then afterwards, I'm like, oh crap, that was a lot.
Well, I love that you said that, because there's a part of me that I'm kind of the same way. I'm good at jumping in the moment. So let me tell you the total sequence of what that looked like. I started with the long exhales because that helped me at least kind of catch my breath and see what was happening. The second thing I did, yeah, I love that reference to Atomic Habits. I'll come to that
Yeah,
in a moment. The second thing I did was I got out of the car and I physically shook. Because the second thing that was happening was there was a rush of adrenaline, and the best way to move that through your body is shaking. And I literally got out of the car and started shaking. And then I shifted my eyes to take in the horizon because I needed to orient to what just happened and figure out what to do next. And so I'll speak a moment because I saw Jared's comment about Atomic Habits. That book is what inspired me to create the micro practices and what I refer to as resilient resets, because I realized people, to that point, people aren't going to do, like I see other somatic leaders who have these fabulous, programs. You can do this thing for 15 minutes or this thing for 10 minutes. And I think adoption is tough. But I've taught these skills up to teams of 400 where they learn how to do a quick reset in the moment.
Yeah.
And then everybody feels the impact.
Well, and I think also making it easy. That's, if someone tells me I have to do something for 10 minutes every day, I'm like, oh, no, it's not going to happen. But
right.
I can take like 4 1-minute things and apply them throughout my day. So yeah, of course. All right. Well, let's just say a little hello to everyone in the audience. Jared, Kenneth, Carlos, Chasen, Robert, all men today. Jim Perona. Hey guys, happy you're
amazing.
Here. Thank you. Thanks for being here. And thank you for watching the show. I appreciate you so much. And all my listeners, you don't go empty-handed. I always take care of you. So here's the little link. 1 second. Let me pop this sucker up. I've got this link right there, that QR code. And here is a groovy little banner. If you go to that page, which I don't expect you to type it, but click on the QR code. There's a whole bunch of brands that have a nice discount. Go shopping on me. Use the code Lead with Heart. Have a fun time. Cozy Earth is one of those brands. And I will tell you, I have their sheets. Heaven, absolute heaven. Been on Oprah's Favorite Things 9 times. So good. Highly, highly, highly recommend. I think it's a 21% off discount, which is super, super cool. And then next week, Erica Sinner is joining us in the Leadership Lounge. So please come back next week, same time, same channel, and she will be there. So let me get rid of that little QR code. And then we are going to go into our not so speedy speed round. This is the lead it or leave it speed round. So lead it if you like it, leave it if you don't. And I do not expect you to give me one-word answers. You can elaborate on any of the topics, but you know how this works. Okay. So the first one, calm is greater than charisma.
I'm going to say lead it.
Why?
And this comes back to a little bit of what we were talking about before. If you were in a crisis, who people are going to be drawn to is the calm one in that moment. The calm person is actually signaling safety. The calm person is signaling, okay, somebody's got this under control. Somebody knows what we're going to do next. Now, that's not to say that charisma isn't great, and there are times for it. Like, Lindsay, I think of you as bringing a tremendous amount of like enthusiasm and charisma and how you engage. And as you said, when the crisis happens, that's not the state that you're in.
No, I'm very like level and systematic, and I can identify the issues. Yeah, no, it's a different muscle. But yeah, I like that. Okay, here's one. I think I know how you're going to answer this. Hustle culture is necessary.
No, that's a leave it. That's a leave it. But what I will say is recognize how the world is conditioned for that constantly, right? The world is conditioned for that. All the apps you can use, people wearing. So you'll recognize, I don't have rings, watch it like.
No Aura, no iPhone.
No, right? Because what I want to do is actually stay connected what's actually happening over here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's easy to feel like because other people are hustling, I should hustle too.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been there. And I will tell you, it doesn't have a happy ending.
Mm-mm.
So I really encourage people, and this is actually a fascinating moment. I'll just say one of the things that I do that's my total joy is I also lead people in a free form, some people call it conscious dance practice. And one of the ways that I personally practice to not get wrapped up into the hustle culture is I will listen to fast-paced music and I will move slowly.
Mm. That's
And
interesting. I don't know if I can do that. Like I'm very much, people laugh in Pilates class because I'll hear a beat and I have to do it on the beat and the instructors don't do it on the beat. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just wrong. So yeah, it's funny. All right. So we have 10 minutes left.
Okay.
So we're going to crank through this speed round and then I have some important questions at the end. So, okay. Executive presence as biology. Meaning like, were you born with it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And
So.
here's what I'm going to say. You were born with your biology. Learning to manage your biology is the opportunity that allows you to show up with effective presence. So back to that point of like, you had some conditioning that happened early in your life. You've practiced that constantly. When you start practicing things as simple as finding your feet during the day, leaning into your spine, right? How many of us tend to lean forward while we're doing things, looking at the screen? Lean back into your spine, feel that support. When you practice those little shifts throughout the day, it immediately shifts your presence.
Yeah, good one. Okay. I think I know how you're going to answer this one too. Thinking your way out of a stress response.
Leave it.
Yeah.
Everything says to do that, and you can't. The brain is already offline.
All right. I'm going to nix the last topics because I want to get into these questions because this is really important. But who believed in you before you believed in you?
Well, the first one was definitely my mom. Mm-hmm. And there's no doubt about that. And what I want to say now is every day. So one of the practices I have every day is I physically stand and I put my hands on my back. And I pause and name 14 people, my parents, my grandparents, my teachers, and my mentors, all of whom have passed. And I stand and thank them for their hands on my back.
Lovely.
And so at this point, I would say, I feel all of them believing in me and what I'm doing now.
That's beautiful. Okay. Since we're in that vein, what's one body-based practice that every leader should be doing daily?
Every leader should give themselves 1 minute of what I call calming breath.
Easy. Love it.
And it's an easy thing. And when you start to do it, so when you start doing it, even for 1 minute, long exhales for 1 minute, it starts to interrupt that moment, right? So I think 1 minute of long exhales, totally worth it.
Good. Okay. What are you working on now?
What I'm going to say is I'm working on really getting these practices out to even bigger audiences and more people. So there are multiple ways to do that, meaning I offer a public workshop every month because I really want to make this available for people. And in an hour, you can come and learn how to interrupt your stress response and learn how to make these shifts in your day and how to integrate them. I'm doing work with one-on-one executives in companies and individuals. And I'm had an incredible time rolling these practices out to large-scale teams. Even virtually, it was a team of 400 across 24 states. And again, imagine the power. And one of the things I do at the end of every program is I invite people to put their arms up in a V above their head. And at the end of that program, I said, okay, we talk about picking an identity you're going to live into. And so they decided they were going to be the resilient rock stars. And imagine 400 people, they're all throwing their arms up in the air. I'm a resilient rock star. Like, it's incredible, the impact. So I'm super excited. And what I will say for anyone who watches this program live or you watch the replay, if you reach out to me on LinkedIn, Kimberly S. Arnold, and DM me live, I will give you a discount code for whatever my next workshop is.
Yeah, tell her, here, I'll chuck up your QR code. Tell her you saw her here. She loves to hear that. I love to hear that. That's amazing. Okay, who are your ideal clients?
My ideal clients are, I'm going to say, C-suite and line of business leaders in healthcare and tech who are no longer willing to tolerate the negative impact of stress on their people and their performance.
Good one.
They are ready. They are ready to actually take an action to learn how to perform well and be well under any pressure.
Well said. And yes, please. And what is next for you?
What is next for me? You know, it's interesting. A lot of people have been tapping me recently about a book. And I've always said there was some part of me that was like, but I want people in their body. I mean, you know, when I started this business, I started dropping a sample video practice every week. And at the same time, I get that a lot of people want to read. So what is going to be...
they want to collect it all in one spot so they can refer to it. Because, you know, hunting for videos, sometimes, you know, you get shiny penny. Oh, but there's something over here. Who said that? And I'm going to go look at them now. And then you lose track. So,
exactly. Yeah. So part of what's next for me, and probably starting up in the next month here, is really starting to do some research on how reactivity is showing up in the workplace, and what people are committed to in terms of how to change it.
I love it. All right. Well, I'm going to give you the last 2 minutes to do your parting words. But before we go, I just want to say thank you to everybody that comes to these shows. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for chiming in, your sense of humor. It is so appreciated. And if you like what you see here, go check out the podcast, the Heartbeat for Hire podcast. It's on YouTube and wherever you find your favorite shows. We're coming up on episode 200, and I just received my 3rd award for the show. Woo! So check it out. It's more of this with incredible humans that have amazing stories to tell. But Kimberly, the floor is yours. What are some parting words you want to leave our audience with?
What I want to say is we a little bit of what we said before, in that we know we live in a culture that's telling us to go faster and harder. And you know it's taking a toll. You know it's taking a toll on your relationships, your health, really probably even fulfilling whatever goals you want in your life. And what I want to encourage people to do is to actually take a step to say, I'm ready to interrupt that response. You know, and it's sort of like, if you're ready to interrupt that response, then take a moment now, find your feet, take a long exhale, and know that when you do this, even with a buddy, so I appreciated someone brought up Atomic Habits before. When you have an accountability appointment with somebody else, you're 95% likely to make the change. So mostly I want to say, I am here. I'm delighted to connect with you as an individual leader, as a leader of a team, and know that there is a solution. There is a way that you can make slight shifts in minutes throughout the day to work well and be well.
Amazing. Beautifully said. Thank you, friend. Guys, this will live on as a replay on YouTube. It will live on LinkedIn and Facebook. It's there right now, but it won't stay there. So please check out the YouTube channel where all of these shows live. We've had Kimberly's our 16th episode. It is an absolute joy being with you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. And thanks to everybody for coming to watch the show. Come back next week. We've got more amazing genius to share with you all. And get out there, lead with heart, and have a great day.